Hi friends, welcome back to Ray Create Cards. I'm Ray Henderson out of East Tennessee, and today I wanted to bring you an alternative to the traditional pinks and reds and things that are in our Valentine cards. Because if you're married to a guy like me, he's more like a man's man. Very outdoorsy, very active. The pinks and the reds don't really suit him. So, I'm going to show you what I designed for my husband for Valentine's Day, and hopefully it'll give you some ideas. So, I'm going to be using, my card panel is going to be a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's going to fill the whole card front. I'm using the scrapbook.com heavyweight mixed media paper pad. I haven't used this a whole lot yet, but I have been very happy with it. And let me pick this up so you can read this down here. Do you see that 400 GSM? It is by far the thickest paper I have in my my card room. So, yeah, 400. Do you see how thick that is? And it allows me to do wet medias on here very easily. Before we get too far, the first thing I want to do with this is emboss it. And I have like a distress brick embossing folder here. Haven't got rid of it yet. If I find something I like better, I'll replace it. And I am going to get my mister, because this is so thick. I'm just going to mist that with a little bit of water. We're going to get ready to run that through. Let me bring my machine up here. I'm not using my Gina K Intricate today. And the only reason I'm not using it is because I'm working off of this silicone mat. And her machine grips so well. I have a hard time getting it back off. So we're going to run this through just once. Of course, that's kind of a thick folder there. It is 3D. All right, guys, as I am filming this, it is Thursday, January the 9th. You'll be seeing this tomorrow, and I am going to be tucked in, snowbound. We are under winter warnings here. Can you see that texture and design on there? Not foo-foo-y at all, right? More like a guy's card. Absolutely. I'm going to be die cutting here in a minute. So I'm going to lay that to the side, put my embossing folder away. And then I'm going to take this, and it is a little damp. I did put quite a bit of water on there. And I want to get my splatter box. We're going to set this in here. And I have a couple of distress sprays that I'm going to use. I'm going to try to shake them best I can away from the microphone. Hopefully it's not really loud in your ear. But this is a Distress Oxide tumbled glass. I'm going to put a little bit of that on there. Put a little, put a lot. Okay. Then I want to go in with some Distress Oxide spray in the tea dye. Just going to put a little bit of that. And I'm holding it far back so that I'm just getting little spritzes and not a whole lot of the big stuff. All right, so I've got that over to the side. Anyway, here was the tea dye. As you can see it on the screen. Bring this here, put that there. Obviously, that's going to be wet for a minute. So, I'm going to take, y'all have seen me use this before. It was so much cheaper than the Conair, and it works like a dream for drying things without getting out the heat tool. I have cool, low, and high, and I usually use the low warm setting, and it's very gently warm. So we're going to dry this up a little bit. so that we can proceed on with getting our card done. I won't totally dry it, but I do want to give it a head start before I put it to the side so that I know for sure it's going to be good and dry when we get ready to assemble. And that's it. That's all there is to the background. Now, because of the splatter, on camera, you're not going to see very much of that embossing folder come through, but I can see it. You might rather do a more intense, like a wood grain, a brick wall, a geometric design of some kind. All of those would work. It's drying pretty flat. Alright, so we're good there. I'm just going to lay this to the side for the minute. My card base is out of that Accent Opaque 271 GSM, 4 1/4 by 11, and scored at 5 1/2. So I've got that waiting in the wings. Now, I took on that same Accent Opaque cardstock, and I ink blended a panel with my Uncharted Mariner. I did it in advance so it would be good and dry. And I have my tumbled glass that I did a little bit bigger piece, and I'll show you why I made that piece bigger here in a minute. But here is going to be the star of the show. I found this lovely die at Erin Lee Creative. Isn't that pretty? It actually cuts out these hearts individually, but it leaves you all the frame. So you can use it with or without the cutout hearts. And so we're going to get ready and die cut this one out of the Uncharted Mariner. And I need my little cutting plates. Here we go. There's my thin die adapter. My bottom plate. They're starting to get a little bowed. I'm going to have to start giving them some attention. Make sure that is on there, that I'm in camera. That would be a good thing, wouldn't it? And my little well-loved plates. Here we go. But yeah, my Gina K grips so well that I have a hard time getting it off of the mat. So I switch back and forth. I love both of my machines. This one is actually very similar to the Spellbinders machine, and I may one day break down and get that. But what I have is working. And sorry guys, I would just much rather spend the money on new goodies than replacing machines that there is nothing wrong with them. Now let me get, oh, I didn't get that little heart. Get that little one. There we go. And a little bit more stuff left in here. Let's see. Let me get my frame out so you can see how pretty this cut. It's beautiful. Look at that. Isn't that nice? So again, if you wanted to piece that back in there, you could, but hang on, because this is one of those dies that will give you 2 for 1. I'm saving those little hearts that came out, and we're going to die cut one more time, and we're going to die cut it again out of the piece I ink blended with the tumbled glass. And even though this piece is bigger, it's bigger for a reason. I kind of want to have it up here toward the top. So let me get these picked up. Let's put this on here. Run this one through. Now I thought about spraying the hearts with water after they were die cut and just kind of putting those little speckles, because this is so water reactive. but I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think I will. I'm going to go ahead and loosen up that frame. Here we go. There we go. Easy. There's my scrap piece that I don't need. My little hearts. Move those out. There we go. So there's those little hearts. And there's that little scrap piece. Put it to the side until I go to the trash can again. Lay these down. I don't want to throw this away because I have a need for that here in just a bit. Okay. That should be all the die cutting except for the sentiment. So I'm just going to keep everything together, set it over here to the side, and we're going to keep it going. So I've got my panel here. It's a little curled. And I can feel it is still a little bit damp. Probably put more water on there than I meant to. And like I said, this gives you like 2 for 1, running that 2 for 2, running that die twice. Because now if you wanted to, you could take this light blue and inset it with the dark blue hearts. But I'm not going to do that today. We are going to kind of figure out, not sure how high I'm going to want that. Right about so. And then, just to give you an idea of how it's going to look. So yeah, we're under a winter storm warning from about 10 o'clock Friday to 7 p.m. Saturday. And they're saying, depending on where you live, anywhere between 3 to 6 inches. Now, for you northerners that are sitting back and snickering, okay, y'all up north don't have the humidity we have down here in the south. So for us to get snow almost always means ice. That's why everything shuts down if we get 1 inch, 2 inches of snow. It's because of the ice. It's because of all the back roads we have. I mean, school buses can't get through and yada, yada, yada. So, anyway, we'll see what happens. We are good and warm here inside the house. I would love to be outside. The sky is blue today. Guys, it is the first day all week that we have not had gray, dark gray, medium gray, gray on gray sky. And so it has just been beautiful. Now, before starting the video, I did cut 2 more out of white cardstock, and we are going to glue those together because I want to add some dimension to my hearts on the card. And this is a good way to do that for a guy's card. It's not blingy. It's not too fussy, but it's just so cute. I love this die. I don't know what y'all think of it, but I love it. It is simple, it is not expensive, and again, it is flexible in the way they designed it. And even that little cutout right there, it just adds a little something, doesn't it? Okay, let's get the blue one and put it on top. First of all, I do want to make sure that I am totally together. Okay, I think so. I think we're good. So we're going to do this and start putting some form and functionality into this. Am I still on camera? Yeah. Awesome. That's always a good thing, isn't it? So, we were scheduled to have a card class this Saturday. I've moved mine to Saturday instead of on Fridays. I think that's actually going to help more people than it hurts, because a lot of people were having issues trying to get there on Friday. Okay. Now I am going to, I've got a big block. I'm just going to lay that there for a minute while we work on getting the others layered up. I know I want this one. Now I already have 2 of these glued together out of my accent opaque. So I'm going to get the light blue heart put on there. And the white cardstock, because this layer is going to be thick, some of that white may be kind of showing, but we'll fix that real easy here in just a minute. And then I want this one. And I'm about to panic here because I don't see my little white die cuts for the small one. I'm trying to figure out, I had them all together. Did it go flying away? What did we do? Ah, here it is. It was in the floor. If anybody can misappropriate their supplies, I can. In a heartbeat. Okay. Lay that there, stick that back. Let's get this little one. And I notice I have a little something right there. And it could have been something on my plates. Earlier this week, I took my cutting plates to the kitchen sink and I scrubbed them with a soft toothbrush. Alright, I know I've got ink left on this brush, so I'm just going to see if I can't cover that up a little bit. Good enough. Good enough. Now you can't hardly see it, so that works. That works. We'll glue there with this one, and I'll show you the overall dimension when all is said and done. Just going to make sure I'm lined up correctly. Get the angle right. But I love this die. Wasn't expensive. I didn't have to invest in a big stamp set with coordinating dies. I didn't have to buy new kinds of designer papers. None of that. Okay. Now, that white is going to kind of show. If I hold it in my hand, can you kind of see that white peeking through? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take what's left on my brush and I'm going to knock that back. And it won't take but just a minute to kind of get that flicked on there. I tell you what, I've got this. I'm going to bring in my Uncharted Mariner. This is the Honeybee size 5, and you get, it's like 5 or 6 in a package. Oh, here it is. You get 5, size 5, and a 5-pack. These have been invaluable for me. I love these so much. And it just makes it so easy to get down into those little areas where you can't get down in there with a regular brush. Okay, so we're just going to go all the way around the edge, and that's going to knock that white back. Because honestly, cutting it out of white cardstock and then doing this was actually more economical than ink blending 2 more pieces and cutting them out, because I still started with white cardstock. I would still end up with the blue edges. Now, the white edges, if you had some colored cardstock that you wanted to use, you could absolutely do that. You could. Okay. And here in just a second, I want to show you, after last week's video, I played a little bit more, and I did some other colors using that Whimsy Duo stamp and dies that we were using last week, the stencil and all that. So I'll show you what I was up to with it. All right. Maybe I should have done this before starting the video. I didn't think this was going to take me so long. But that's okay. You got your coffee or your tea or your Coke or your Pepsi or even better, your water. And you're just sitting back, relaxing, and enjoying. Trying to block out your cares and worries that we all have. We all do. Some of us are a little better at worrying than others. Sometimes I do really well with that, and other times it's like, yeah, I didn't give it to God when I got up this morning, did I? Yep. So I'm paying for it now. Okay, take a deep breath. Shut everything out. Let's go talk to Him for a little while. Do a little bit of reading. So, for some reason, it's been a little over a week ago, I decided I was going to read in the book of Zechariah. Why did I pick Zechariah? I don't know. If I've ever just sat and read that book before, it has been so many years that I don't remember. I really don't remember reading that before. I'm guessing maybe I never had. Because I do tend to kind of stay in the New Testament as I've gotten older. But, there's a lot in the Old Testament that still applies to us today. So, we're almost there, guys. All right, at this point, let me look and see where I need to knock that back. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I just want to knock that back enough so that there's not a stark contrast. Okay, we're almost there. But yeah, if it wasn't 25 degrees outside, I would have found a reason to go out. I want to feel the sunshine on my face. I guess that's why I enjoy the Garden Answer channel so much. I mean, Laura is just always so happy to be alive and so upbeat and positive. And she is that way with her children and her husband. They are just such a blessing to the rest of us out here in YouTube land to watch. And I think today's episode, her mom had gotten in. They have a nursery where they live in, is it Quebec, Oregon? No, I don't think it's called Quebec. Anyway, it's a Canadian name for the town. You usually think of Canada when you hear Ontario. Ontario, Oregon. Yeah, they're in Oregon, in the high desert part of Oregon. Yeah, folks, there really is a desert part. I never made it over that far when I was up that way. I didn't. But, yeah, they definitely have some challenges. And if you've never been to that channel before, it's amazing. So very many of the things that she grows in her garden during the spring and summer, I can grow here in Tennessee and in other areas. So it isn't just about that neck of the woods. And I think if you watch them, you will fall in love with that whole family. Okay, here we go. Maybe I should have just picked out some navy blue and a light blue cardstock and been done with it. But I love ink blending. I love it, and I really love it with my Distress Oxides. Okay, now, is all that knocked back now? And a little bit right here it's wanting to show. See, I'm going to have those other pieces on the inside, and that will help mask that. But for the outside, nope. That's really going to kind of be shiny in our face if I don't get all that. fill that in a little bit more. And it does not bother me to have inky fingers or inky hands. I consider that a badge of honor for being allowed to do all this. So, are we good there? If I lay that down on there, am I good? I think I'm good. It's a little light right there. That might be seen very easily by the recipient of the card. So I'm going to fill that in just a little bit so it doesn't look so funny. Okay, I think that's good. All right, let me cap this. And now I want to look at my, because that blue, that tumbled glass is so light, I don't think I'm going to need to do that with these. Yeah. Oh my goodness, I smushed it out of place. All right, hello fuzzy. Let's see, I've got a piece of paper here. I use those lens wipes to clean my camera lens before I start a video. So I'm going to use this before it goes in the trash. And we're going to knock off that excess Uncharted Mariner. And I'm going to bring in my tumbled glass because this little fella definitely needs some filling in. Because I guess when I put it under my acrylic block, it shifted. It's okay, it happens. You know, I honestly don't know that I have ever, it's been rare, come into my card room and got ready to make a card and something not come out the way I intended or the way I thought it was going to come out. Y'all ever do that? All the time, right? Oh my. Do you reckon we'll have card making areas in heaven? Man, wouldn't that be awesome if we did? Because they would be perfect. We'd never make another mistake. Or if we did, we wouldn't care as much as we do here. Oh my goodness. I often wonder what my job is going to be. You know, will I get to tend the garden? What kind of thing, you know, what kind of job am I going to have? So, it's just fun to think about. Okay. I think we're good. Yay, we're good. All right, let's get this. First of all, let's go ahead and glue this down. Because we still have our sentiment to put together. So my husband got pulled over Monday. Now, he's a good old guy, okay? He's very safe. He's very responsible. He was going through an area where, supposedly, according to the state trooper, the speed limit had been lowered, okay? However, let's put this on here for a minute. Hopefully that won't shift. He kept telling him, he said, well, you know, I could write you up, but, you know, just right now, our system is down, and so I can't really call it in. But what he was doing, and this was so funny, he was looking at the 3 amber lights that my husband had added to the front of his truck, you know, underneath the bottom of the front end. And they weren't anything ostentatious. They weren't like super, super in your face. And he had them well spaced across the whole front. They looked really good. We don't go in for the real flashy thing. I know some people do. We do not. So, he kept looking and checking them out. Hey, where'd you get those? Yeah, were they expensive? That kind of thing. And so when he came home and he was telling me that, I just thought that was a hoot. That was such a hoot. Guys, always remember our law enforcement and everybody. They're people too. Okay, they are. And always treat them the way you would want your son or your daughter in the commission of their duties, whatever it is they're doing. You want them treated well at work and respect given. So be sure and do that for the law enforcement. I can't imagine what it's like to be a law officer in this day and age. Sheriff's deputy, city police, gosh, even being a doctor or a nurse in today's environment. You got so many people, it's all about me and wham, 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 and I need to be first, and you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that real selfish, self-centered attitude. So, all right, we've got that. Now let's work on the sentiment. And then when all is said and done, we can use some Wink of Stella or something if you want to kind of see what that looks like. But let's get ready to die cut our sentiment. I'm going to bring this yellow. I don't have any yellow. My tumbled glass piece that we've already die cut out of. Oh, I don't know. Can I talk today? I'm just so excited with the blue sky. And my heart's outside. It's outside. It's not in here. All right. Is this going to be enough? Oh, it will. But I can't die cut it yet. Duh. I'm getting the cart for the horse again. Yes, I am. Let me get my Misty up here. Because there's a sentiment that I want to add. And do I have... Man, I thought I had plenty of room there. Do I still? I hope I do. Now I'm looking for the stamp set that I wanted to use. Well, where'd it go? Oh my heavens, guys. I swear. La 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 la. Blessings. I don't think it was that one. Alright, guys, I'm going to pause the video for a second until I find it. So hang on, I'll be right back. Alright, guys, I'm back. Oh, it took me a minute to find it. But it's from a retired Stampin' Up set, and it's called And the Love Only Grows. And I really, really appreciated that. I truly did. Now, at this point, maybe I didn't move that up far enough, but I want to make real sure I'm going to be able to get my die around it. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Let's try this right here. Get that up in there. Let's see. Am I going to have room? Man, that's going to be close. So I put it over here. Oh, my word. Okay, so if I'm really, really careful, I think I can pull this off. Okay. I really thought I have got glue, boogers, dried ones on my fingers, and that's not helping. All right, are we straight? Y'all know me. I use my grid on my Misty door, and I'm looking. It's going right through the middle of that, so we're going to assume that is good. I am bringing in my Rabbit Hole Designs powder tool. Love this thing. Okay, I'll bring in my Versamark embossing ink. Watermark ink is commonly what it's called. Different brands, different versions out there. I'm going to stamp this a couple, 3 times. And yes, I kept my sticky mat in there. Yes, this is a thicker red rubber stamp. I don't have an issue. I truly do not have an issue. It's a little thick, but I have yet for that too. Let's see, that word "and" to me looks a little light, so I'm going to do that one more time. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then my clear embossing powder. And I get that opened up. We will get this put in the embossing powder. I'm going to very gently lay this to the side. Okay. Get that covered with the clear. That's not going to show very well. You know what? It's not. That's not going to show very well. I'm going to wipe all that off. I'm going to wipe that off. We're going to do it a different way. Instead of using the Versamark. Oh, heavens to Betsy, I swear on my time. Y'all never do this kind of thing in your room, do you? Where you're kind of like double thinking everything and realizing, oh yeah, if I do the clear on that light blue, that's really not going to show. Okay. All right, one more time. We're going to go with the Uncharted Mariner. All right, let me get that piece back in here. Stop. I just had it. There it is. Now, if I can line this back up again, heavens. Okay. That's back up in the corner, and that'll be close enough. It's not going to bother a thing. And because I have Distress Oxide, it's kind of like a hybrid ink, truly, because it is pigment and dye. Dye dries really fast. You can't really heat emboss. You can't get the embossing powder on it quick enough. However, because this has pigment in it, it does not dry really fast. Ah, love it. One more time. Leave that there. Close that back up. And now we can go to our clear embossing powder. I had a vision. I really did. I just didn't think it all the way through, evidently. But I've been so busy, so I started painting my ceilings before Thanksgiving. Guys, I haven't got back to it. Oh, me. Well, I think it was Monday before I even got my Christmas tree and everything took down. It's just been one thing after another. Go, go, go. All right, let me get my heat tool heating up over here. We will get that embossed. Get it heated up. See how hot I am. That's pretty hot. Let's see if I can hold it so you can see it when it starts to change. There we go. Now we're getting it. Okay. Let me double check it, make sure I don't have any powdery looking areas. And we don't. Awesome. All right, let's cool that off really well. And I am going to take my snips. I'm going to cut this out like so. Because I can bring in my Hero Arts mini cutter and not have to get my big one back out. He's been sitting underneath, so he might be a little dusty. Maybe. So, put this here, get this here, line this up. I need some mint tape, because I definitely do not have any wiggle room for that at all. At all. Okay. Set this right down on there. Okay. Got it, got it. Got it. All right. I don't know how bad this is going to look. If it looks really bad, there is a fix. So let's get this run through. Whoops. Come on. Okay. Let's go ahead and start peeling this away. I'm trying to be patient, guys. Sometimes I'm just not. Sometimes I am just not. Okay. All right, so it's a little crooked. Somehow, some way, I didn't stamp it totally straight. I didn't double check it, did I, when I put it back in my MISTI? But I think it's doable. I think it is. Now, I do have a scrap of accent opaque here. And I do want... Oh, that's just going to make it. I do want to cut a piece for the back of the sentiment so we can glue those together. Ooh. Those are brand new pieces. Come on. But that die is a little bowed and it's fighting me just a little bit. So, yeah, I had to cancel our class for Saturday and move it to next Saturday. Hopefully the weather will be in a much better frame of mind. You know, it's funny because sometimes we can have just darn near spring-like days in the middle of winter. And then we can have times like now where they're predicting all of this ferocious snow and everything else. So we had a little bit of snow last year, you know, for years in East Tennessee. If I can get that to release. Our winters were just very plain and very boring. Got a little something right there. Get that off. There we go. There we go. Now we can glue this together. And you hardly ever saw snow. But now I remember as a child, many times getting to go out and play in some fairly deep snow. And then somewhere along the way, it changed. Things got warm, and now I swear it's getting cold again. Okay. All right. Now, I've had my block over my card front for a while. And let's see how bad this is going to look. Oh, honestly, it's not. It's not. However, let's see. I think I want to move this over about like so and about like so. About like that. Can you see that raised shiny goodness on the sentiment? And that's not too much bling for a guy. It's not. And I'll tell you something else I think I'm figuring out. I think I prefer these little silicone tops to the straight pin. Because if it's a day or so, when I reach for one of those mini glue bottles, I'm learning that I usually have to really kind of work at it because it's already starting to get clogged. And I have learned 24 hours later, I can come back in here and unplug that and just take that cap off and it's good to go. It doesn't fight me at all. So anyway, let's get our card base and bring that in. Okay, it's looking really good. Let's get that on our card front. And then I also want to show you, as I was referring earlier to those cards that we made last week, from that Altenew stencil and die set dynamic duo, the Whimsy. that up, that up. Push this down, push this down. Put this on here. There we go. And I really, really think that I want to bring in, see if I can get a hold of it over here. It's fighting me. And it's kind of big. I think I want to add that one and this one to the card front as well. So here we go. I'm checking to make sure my corners are staying down, and they are. Nice. All right, let's go ahead and put air bubble. Let's put that right about there. And this one right about here. And now it looks like it took me a long time to do this. But if you were in your card room and you had your pieces cut, a little bit of splatter, or take a brayer, run it over the top of your ink pad, and run that over whatever embossing folder. Or if you picked a wood grain, maybe you want to go with a brown tone for the background. That would actually help that embossing folder pop. But even though there is texture, and I can see it very readily, I don't know if you can, but there is great texture there as he's holding the card and his fingers come in. He will definitely pick up on that texture. The colors are very, very pleasing for a guy. Maybe your husband's favorite color is red. Maybe you want to do a stark red-white combo. But whatever it is you decide to do, it's all good. Now, the only other thing I was going to do was do a wink of Stella just inside the light blue hearts. Nowhere else, just there. So we're just going to paint that in very quickly. I honestly thought about a silver or a gold. Wink of Stella comes in different colors, and they have a silver and they have a gold. I'm not fans of using those on a big area because they're kind of streaky. So I wouldn't advise trying that on here. However, I am going to do 2 coats. And I'm going to do 2 coats because it's not going to be too much. And it may be that if I do 2 coats, you might be able to see it. It's almost 2 o'clock here. At 3 o'clock, guys, I have a live with Wendy Cranford in the Creative Vault. I can't wait. It is awesome. I enjoy those so much and so look forward to them. So, I'm trying to see. Yep, you can see a little bit of it there. It hasn't totally dried. It dries real fast, but it hasn't totally dried. So what do you guys think? Rather than the traditional red and pink, however, in playing the other day, I did do this one. It's just a simple little step card with some blingy pattern paper and the red and the pink. But for the guys, we don't have to do the red and the pink if we don't want to. And here is one of the cards I did. Now, I don't have glossy accents. I will be buying them at some point. But several years ago, when I first got into card making, I bought this Nouveau Crystal Glaze. And I put that right in the middle. And I set it over to the side to dry in my splat box in the floor. And within 15 minutes, I dropped a stamp set directly on top. So it did smush it out a little bit. Can you see that? It did come out of the confines of the middle a little bit there. just a tiny bit down here, a little bit down here. However, it's whimsy, right? So it's okay. It just added character. And I'm not going to throw it away. It's still very giveable to someone. Don't know what kind of a sentiment I'm going to put on it yet, but anyway. And then I didn't get these put on a card, but I did do some different colors, some totally different. Aren't they pretty? I love that. I love that set so much. And then I did manage to get this one where I mixed kind of a coral and a blue together. Did a little bit of splatter and embossing on the background. This die right here is from Spellbinders. I don't know if they still have it or not. But yeah, I just came up with some different colors and designs. All right, guys, until we meet again next Friday, let me pull this in. I'll pull this in. If you want to see a video on how to do this one, leave a comment. If you've enjoyed this at all, with all of my blurbs and my mistakes and my boo-boos, please give me a thumbs up. And listen, God is good all the time. Never forget that you are loved. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.